Welcome to the Recaps channel. In today's video, we'll recap No Escape. Let's get started. After a meeting between a Southeast Asian Prime Minister and a representative of Cardiff, a company specializing in water systems, a group of rebels assassinate the Prime Minister and stage a coup d'état. Hours before that, Jack Dwyer, who just started working for Cardiff, arrives in the country with his wife Annie and their young daughters Lucy and Bees. On the plane, they encounter a British stranger, who finds Bees' stuffed toy. When they arrive, Jack realizes his phone doesn't work. The stranger, Hammond, warns them about scammers and offers to take them to their hotel, the Imperial Lotus. Hammond's local friend, known as Kenny Rogers, drives them to the hotel. On the way, Jack notices concerning behavior among the locals and military. In the hotel, things aren't working properly. Jack tries to inquire about calls from his company but gets no direct answers. Later, Jack finds Hammond in the bar and talks to him about his company's challenges. That night, Jack hears a noise but finds nothing. He then sees Annie crying in the bathroom. The next day, Jack checks for calls and asks for a newspaper at the reception desk. The paper was not delivered, so Jack heads into town to find a newspaper, but something feels off. Eventually, he finds a newspaper stall but it only has a 3-day-old English newspaper. While briefly captivated by a wind chime, he's startled by approaching mob and soldiers. Unsure of what to do, he witnesses shops hastily closing as a street fight between citizens and the military erupts. Jack rushes back to the hotel, encountering violence at every turn. Rebels, led by their leader, gather on the ground floor and brutally kill a Cardiff employee. Realizing he's the next target, Jack tries to escape but gets spotted. Desperate, he climbs a ladder attached to a nearby building, managing to enter the hotel through a smashed window. Soon after, the rebels storm the hotel, firing at the staff. Jack reaches their room and explains the situation. Jack and Annie realize Lucy went to the pool alone. Jack sets off to search for her, narrowly avoiding encounters with rebels. Meanwhile, Annie hears noises in the hallway and tells Bees to hide in the bathroom. She positions herself against the door, holding her ground. Jack finds Lucy swimming at the pool. He uses a flotation device to block the door, delaying the rebels, but they start breaking windows. They race up the stairs, and encounter a rebel, but Hammond suddenly appears and urges Jack to get to the roof. They make it to the room, where Jack tells Annie that they need to get to the roof. They navigate through destroyed halls and encounter lifeless bodies. Finally, they reach the roof, joining a group seeking refuge. A man who speaks French catches their attention. The man tells them that they will all soon be dead, with rebels below chanting, "Blood for water." Jack and Annie approach the receptionist for more information, learning that the rebels are angry about American control of the water supply. Jack, however, believed their purpose was to provide help. They hear the sound of an approaching helicopter, thinking it's a rescue. However, it becomes apparent that rebels are piloting it. Jack quickly pulls his family down for cover, and the helicopter crashes and causes more chaos. Jack notices the barricade breaking and rebels closing in. He spots a nearby roof and informs Annie that they must jump. Despite Annie's doubts, Jack emphasizes that they have no other choice. They manage to get to the roof of the building next to the hotel. Shots are fired as Jack and his family descend to the floor below, where they take a moment to hide and plan their next move. Jack sees a tank outside and urges his family to run. They seek refuge in nearby offices, but the tank fires, causing the building to collapse. They take cover under a broken structure. The rebels arrive and search for them but eventually give up. The Dwyers hide in the building until nighttime. Annie finds a map of the city and decides they should go to the American embassy. When they leave, Jack is seen by a rebel who was looting. The rebel tries to call for help, but Jack stops him and kills him. To blend in, they take clothes from dead office workers and use a stolen moped to travel through the town. They manage to continue and reach the heavily fortified embassy, but it is under attack. They escape the explosion and find refuge in a Buddhist shrine garden. The garden keeper conceals them in the garden. The rebels then enter the garden and confront the keeper. Jack notices a rebel setting down his weapon and cautiously moves toward it. As Jack approaches the rebel with the weapon, he accidentally steps on a stick, alerting the rebel. Annie tries to help but gets taken hostage. Jack retaliates, killing the rebel and grabbing his gun. However, the gun fails to fire when aimed at the leader. Jack is attacked and is overpowered. He is then forced to watch as the leader prepares to assault Annie. Before the assault happens, Hammond arrives. Hammond, with Kenny's assistance, eliminates the rebels. They leave the gardens with Hammond, who knows a secure place for them. They reach a brothel and head to the rooftop where Kenny prepares food. Hammond requests to speak privately with Jack and Annie, revealing the Vietnamese border as a safe asylum option. Jack questions if Hammond is a British CIA agent, but Hammond neither confirms nor denies. Hammond takes partial responsibility for their predicament and vows to help them escape. They plan to leave in 4 hours. Jack wakes up later and joins Hammond and Kenny as they crawl towards the wall. A gunshot prompts them to quickly reach the wall. Hammond says he will distract the men in the gun tower while Jack and Annie escape. They proceed, and Hammond provides covering fire. Kenny is killed, but Hammond takes down the remaining tower guards despite being wounded. Weakened, Hammond guides Jack and Annie on the escape route before following them. They make their way out into the streets, but Hammond collapses. Jack wants to help, but Hammond insists on staying behind as a car approaches. Hammond stands up, shoots the driver, causing the car to crash and creating an opportunity to escape. Uncertain of their next steps, they move away from the streets. Jack has a panic attack, but Annie helps him recover before they continue toward the river. As they approach the river, Jack spots 2 rebels approaching. He prepares to kill them, but they turn the corner without noticing their presence. Jack and Annie take the children and find a hiding spot. Jack ventures alone to the river in search of a boat. He locates a boat and exchanges his belongings for it with a fisherman. Meanwhile, he notices the rebels returning and guides Annie and the girls toward him. The fisherman conceals Jack, and shortly after, Jack ambushes the rebel leader and engage in a fierce fight. However, Jack is eventually overpowered. Lucy runs out, attempting to warn Jack, but she is captured. The rebel hands Lucy a gun and instructs her to kill Jack, threatening her life. In that tense moment, Annie strikes the rebel leader, enabling Jack to seize the gun from Lucy and eliminate the other rebels. He finally kills the rebel leader, successfully defending his family. Jack and the others head to the boat, climb aboard, and start moving down the river. Along the way, a car approaches and calls out to Jack, signaling that they have reached the Vietnam border. As they approach the Vietnamese soldiers, they are ordered to stop since they do not have permission to enter Vietnam. Jack tries to explain that they are seeking asylum, but the Vietnamese soldiers initially raise their weapons. However, they soon lower their guns, as shooting would be considered an act of war. Finally, the family finds safety and rests while Jack receives treatment in the hospital. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoyed the video. See you again here on the Recaps channel.